It is the full 80 minutes podcast on Show Me the Money Rugby TV. The boys are here. We've got Jomi, Mystic Jimmy. How you doing, guys?
Mystic Mac, I believe.
I know it's son, but how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you, yeah.
Jimbo?
Yeah, not bad, thank you.
Bad after my week of bets. I think Bish did well if you watch the...
That's American football.
I'll give a shout out. I'm getting a quick shout out where we get them on.
Plug.
Bish did very well, so if you're following us, follow Bish more than me.
Well, Joe, no one's got an idea.
The punt, it's on the YouTube, it's up every Friday night. Give us a watch, and if you like a few NFL bets, get involved.
Brilliant. Listen, I've just been reflecting because I'm actually feeling a bit ropey myself, and we've lost the Gledall again, so apologies again for the great Gled. We don't know why, but he's missed again. Hopefully back next week where we will actually do the Dream Team results. Somebody will win the 2 tickets to the game, so we need someone to spend a couple of hours on that with the coaches. So we'll have that next week. I do believe the England top got sent finally. Are we happy with that?
Yeah, believe it did. It will be to Dan Stones, I think.
Well done, Dan. You got the England.
We got there. We got there eventually.
Got there in the end. Apologies for the lateness. You know what? I was thinking of this in the week. Last week's show got quite a little bit of people saying we were quite negative. I got 2 or 3 phone calls off coaches and CEOs, and I wanted to stress why we made it like that. It's because we wanted to really just bring IMG, closer. We felt we're a programme that cover topics, and if we don't call people out and have a bit of crack with it, well, we shouldn't do what we do. So we actually thought a lot of people in the game are asking where IMG, what have they got planned. A lot of the clubs are a bit static. There's not a lot of good news going about. So we've actually did a show on saying, come on IMG, give us something. So we get IMG on board with some great news in next month or so. There'll be nobody bigger than us who'll be promoting it. We'll smash it everywhere. So it's
like we were at the start. We were all buzzing, weren't we?
Yeah, it's not a negative. It's just saying, come on, where are you? And when you do come out, we'll be ready and we'll promote the game in a positive manner like we've always done. Joe's just showed me this, a couple of things in the world of rugby league. So we've got Rhodri Jones has been appointed the first managing director of Rugby League Commercial. As the sport continues to reinforce its corporate and leadership structure. I think I've met Rhodri once, I might have done. A lot of people speak well of him. I know my friend Paul Lakin speaks very highly of Rhodri and thinks he's got some great things to offer. We're giving you a little bit of a touch here as well, Rhodri, because we're hopefully your sponsoring show. So there's a bit of a plug for us, Rhodri. Get behind us, mate. Come and get involved and see what we're doing for rugby league.
Bit about Rhodri, I read into him a bit. He has been the commercial man of Rugby League Europe, where obviously there's been growth in obviously areas like we've seen in the World Cup, especially in France and some of the other European countries that are doing tournaments now to get involved in the future World Cups, and there's been a big growth in rugby league throughout all of Europe, and I think all the responses, a lot of it's got to do with Rhodri. You're looking at me like
I just don't agree with you, but I'm not going to get involved in that. So let's kick off, guys. We've got the I think a lot of the teams at the moment, just to give people a plug here. So a lot of the teams now are getting ready for camps. So you'll get another 3-week training, we'll get Christmas, and then you'll see probably every single club will go on a camp now. What's funny about the camps is this, it's the budget.
The budget, yeah.
So you'll get some teams who will go Tenerife, they'll go Lanzarote, they'll go to anywhere in the world, and then you'll get some who will be at the army barracks at Catterick. And every year I find it so interesting and so funny that I look and I go, I wonder who's going to throw the money at it this year. And all the players are ringing you up and saying, I can't wait to go on this camp. And then they find out it's middle of mountains, 4 days away from family, and budget's nil. I can tell a couple ones. I can remember going to an army camp, maybe 5 or 6 years. I'll never forget. It was probably Danny, maybe longer. Danny's last 2 or 3. And I think Danny got to a stage where he didn't want to do them camps no more. For him, it was either Lanzarote, or one of them. It was either somewhere where we're going to have and he thought that didn't do him any good. 5 days in cold at 35 with bones going. But he rang me and I think he'd said, and I said, what's my name? He goes, well, I think we've topped ours on here. What do you mean? He says, well, we've got beds are not beds, you know what I mean? He said, we've got these small beds. He goes, we're sat freezing on a night. We've got this 2 o'clock wake up call. Everyone get out of bed and do 3 mile into ponds. And he was mortified. He was genuinely mortified when he come back and he said, I can't think what you could possibly get out of that. Camaraderie of pulling, you know what I mean? He said, I suppose when you're a young lad, you're 19, 20, get them in. Throw them everywhere, give them a map and say, see you later, 2 days. But I do believe that Danny and JP, as they got older, were like, oh, you've got to be kidding. So what we might do for a bit of fun is we'll print out all the clubs as trips where they're going to take them, and let's see. It's usually a good spin on what the ambition they've got, and if budget's been pulled, and they just end up at the lakes or
I'm not right in thinking as well. A couple of years ago, there was a player, a certain Super League club who won't be mentioned, who was buzzing because they found out they were off to Lanzarote, and then a week later, we're like, I've just been told I've got to pay for it as well.
Yeah, they didn't pay for their own. That's happened quite a few times. And I think another couple would be that sounds like Cass, doesn't it? I don't know if I'm sorry, Mark, I'm having a guess.
It wasn't Cass, I will say that much.
Listen, in the olden days, it was a chance to go train hard and get pissed.
Yeah.
And you come together as a group by the time you come back, because you've had 2 or 3 drinking sessions, you're all happy, you've trained it, So let's hope it is, but I just know it's changed and a lot of people are into other things now. It's, what do they call the weakest one, where they have a big log and they say the weakest part. So it's all this like team thing. And I
Navy SEAL training that.
Yeah, it's all about that and how that goes. Then I think Wigan famously, I saw Wigan a couple of years ago.
Well, Wigan last year did the army stuff, they did a day. There's a lots of day
trips. They went to Wayne, Wigan,
a
couple of years ago. And I can remember seeing young Smithies about 17, and it must be a 300 metre hill at this, like, not skiing village, but it was in snow. And I thought, oh my God, it were absolute. Michael Maguire famously came over here and took Wigan on one back-to-back championship on basis on worst pre-season in history, absolutely brutalising the stamina, the toughness, and just went for it. We need to get this. So there's always a split camp on that. I think I'd definitely prefer. I know what would work for me. And it'd be La Manga just coming off that golf course.
25 degrees.
Yeah, bit of football fitness and then a game of golf, couple of beers and a steak, and I'd be like, right, that's just made I'll be ready now. But we're all different.
Then you've got more work to do after Christmas.
I don't think any of the sports science nowadays would agree with that.
But I could challenge it because I look at and I've been watching us over years evolve, and you look at what brings people together. Especially new squads, so every year there'll be 5 or 6 new players. We're going to do a little bit here on Leeds' new signings and who's gone out to Leeds and who's come in. That's very important. We're also going to do Saints today, but it's quite weird because you've got 6 or 7 new players to infiltrate into your system. Now, culture-wise, Saints historically don't change that much. Maybe 4 signings. I don't know how many that she's going to tell me, you guys,
less.
But I won't be far off. Leeds historically up to lately didn't make that much moves in the market, so the culture always stayed the same. And then they just add to it, and then they'd see what I can remember lads would say, oh, this lad's fantastic, so a new player would come in and they'd say, oh, he's brilliant, great personality, fit as out. But you also find a lot of players out as early as that. If it sounds daft, I've had lads ring me after a camp and go, mate, he's got no chance, like he's that far away from where he's going to be here. So it is quite nerve-wracking for the new lads. I think the existing lads, it's usually okay, but the new ones have got to make a good impression.
Yeah.
It's a test, isn't it?
Is what?
It's a test, isn't it?
It's a test. And again, I think it'll be interesting, like I said, where they go, what they do, and how it works for each. Does that bring you a title? If you start off that early and do something? If you look at it, Leeds always left their best at end, didn't they? Leeds never peaked until October, November. Historically, they'd just be light. They didn't want too much effort, whereas Wigan have always gone knee deep, straight in, November, December, January. We were there the other day, Joe. What were Wigan like?
Monstrous, yeah. The intensity was unbelievable to say. I think it was most of theirs first week back in.
First week, and they were absolutely on it straight away. And I'm looking and thinking, speaking to some other lads, they're saying, oh, we're just doing short skills. It's all skill-based with movement, skill-based movement. But they were doing the wrestle, they're doing the movement. So
it's all different approach, isn't it? Like Rhinos for many years went over to Jacksonville, didn't they?
They did.
They went and did the America trip, yeah.
Right, lads.
It was just last point on that is, we were speaking to a coach the other week, and he was saying he believes that there's more and more evidence now that you don't need such a rigorous pre-season because the season's more intense, it's lasting longer, and especially on the back of the World Cup, most lads they've had 2 or 3 weeks off and we just need topping up again.
Exactly.
I think it's arguably a bit more different the lower down you go in the part-timers who've had longer off, and arguably some players might not take care of themselves as much during that break and they've got a bit more to do. But we know now that, credit where it's due, there's a lot of top players who in Super League who will keep training anyway. They'll still be, I've seen Rhinos players still in David Lloyd's ticking over. It's not like the Ricky Hatton approach of once you've done your season, you go all out and then you've got loads to do. So it's just about different approaches, isn't it?
I can remember doing a pre-season at a club years ago, and I can remember
the local NCL league or
no. You wouldn't know. You probably read about it. And I can remember I said to Dad on my way home, they've all got. He were actually at Rovers, but we're having a good break. I said, Dad, they've all got black bin liners on.
Oh yeah.
And I couldn't. He's like, he just, to him it were normal. He goes, oh yeah, we're getting sweat out. I said, what, in a bin liner? And there was professional players there where you're sweating it out and putting this black bin liner on, and it were, do you know what? And it was as simple as this in them days. It were literally, I remember going and it was literally 8-mile jog. As soon as you turned up, you just went 8 mile. And you had to do it, that was your pre-season. You Tuesday you'd go heavy, and then you try and blend it in. And we don't like work, it were actually just testing you straight away. And believe me, in them days, they come back 3 stone heavy.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
that
4 stone.
That was all fat burning.
And they were chuffed to death. They were coming back from Marbella and they were like, well, that best time ever. And conditioner Billy, there were no pressure. It just be like, right, you've got so many months to get it off. Don't worry about it. That's the way it is.
The interesting one is now, because the sweat, that goes against, I think, obviously if someone's smarter than me, but I think that goes against all, again, modern science there. They say sweat doesn't correlate to much at all. Some people can sweat for a lot. Some people can sweat a little and they can burn just as many calories, make just as much effort. It was very different. It's very
very old school.
I've just been laughing actually because this is a bit of a different thing, but I follow YouTube a lot now, and I've literally got to get my hours down because I'm doing about 12 hours a day. But
I've decided today I'm off it. I'm off the YouTube
shorts.
Off the shorts. The shorts.
So we're still
not on YouTube.
We're stood there and I'm watching it, and I don't know if you've all been watching it, and Sam can promote this a bit of crack. Liver King. So Liver King is. Do you know this story?
Yeah, no,
so Liver King's this guy who's.
You've not seen Liver King?
I'll try and tell you.
Well, I can't believe you've not seen Liver King.
Yeah, I don't know about
So Liver King's this guy in America. I'm trying to do it thing without being picky. He's sold himself on being a caveman. Right. And he said, if you live your life like this, drinking water, meat only, and he's eating liver, raw, all raw meats.
He's got 9 ancestral tenets, he called it, where he lived this life by your old school ways.
Right.
And of the 9, like Dad said, it's all, you can only eat meat because that's what they would do back again in the forage, in the hunter days. You could only, so he literally.
He couldn't have plants or seeds.
No. He shows himself only eating testicles, eating liver.
He's promoted. He's said fantastic.
Yeah.
This guy is
a load of black. Yeah.
But best rig you've ever seen.
This is an 18-stone bodybuilder. Yeah. So obviously for 2 years, as he's making his millions on the back of selling the stuff that he's doing and selling his lifestyle. And he has the big beard and the he looks like a caveman. He walks in.
Doesn't shower for a year.
He walks everywhere, don't wash his hair, you've got it. So even if he turns out in Las Vegas, he'll have shorts on, and he's been a perfect sell.
Yeah.
So Joe Rogan and a few of them over the last 6 months have just said, well, he's on gear.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. He's on testosterone, he's on this, he's on that. And they've been debating it, and every time it's been asked, he's denied everything. It's ridiculous, this. And I'm watching it now, he's running with logs on his back.
I have put 1 pound of muscle on every year of my life. I'm now 40. It's a slow gain to get to this point. Best abs are always tense. Somehow.
Anyway, he's got to this thing of more and more people calling him out.
Yeah.
But still got away with it. Earned million. I'm on about serious money.
Yeah.
Anyway, slipped up last week. There's an email gone in, and it's come out what he's been on. He's been on more gear than top bodybuilder.
12,000 a month.
He's been on
12,000 a month.
So now it's absolutely exploded.
Yeah.
And do you know what? I was thinking about this, and people say, Rogan said this morning or yesterday, well, we've not been duped because anybody with half a brain told you can't walk about it that way to doing what he's done on conditioning alone. it'd be impossible for a natural genetic person to get that. He didn't say it a year ago. But this has been how long? Because people say, I feel you know. This guy's now gone quiet. He's come out with an apology. It's horrendous. Honestly, it's like, hey, my fans, I've not been honest with you.
I've lied.
And I'm laughing because the portrayal of it has been a marketing genius what he's done. But it's obviously come out, and it's weird watching you about old school conditioning. You, as a rugby player, the shapes have changed so much. Like the rugby players now, Joe's just mentioned you have cardio. I mean, the props would never do cardio, would they? It'd be real aggression, real strength. The old-fashioned squats. You look now, they do explosive squats, don't they? Whereas if you look at day, everyone had a bad back. We were all stood with 300 pound up back. I look back now in hysterics at what the gyms used to be like compared to what the sports science is now. Now, there's a big argument. I know Rich Hagar used to clash with the conditioners at Leeds, and they'd all clash because Rich wanted old school toughness. Keep going. Whereas they were saying back off. And this is happening at most clubs where they're saying what is the right formula. So it's weird because I definitely notice now the new formula is totally different. If you listen to lads what they're doing, it's definitely more cardio, it's more ups and downs. You know what I mean?
Well, I think most of all, it's more personalised. So it used to be very much, you're all going to do this, and then you're all going to do that. Whereas now, at most, there might be 2 or 3 with a very similar programme who'll train together. But nearly all players now at Super League will have a personalised, individualised workout schedule.
Where would you say, Jimmy? Where would you say? Right, here's one for you both. I'll put it on you. Where would a top rugby player be in the fitness of sports in UK?
Well, I remember.
Who's our fittest man?
Going back to when I first started watching, or in the early years, Paul Sculthorpe was regarded as the overall fittest athlete because. Obviously, in terms of in sport because rugby, I think rugby league. I would say probably centres / back rowers or someone like Scully and Sinfield that build. What they have, if you rate an athlete over certain categories, they're the perfect mixture. Because I know Scully wasn't electric and Sinny wasn't electric, but this is what we're on about Tedesco the other week. I reckon Tedesco is the most complete athlete in Australia because. Footballers can run all day, their stamina, but they're 65, 70 kilograms. Yeah. They've no strength in terms of upper body. You look at Grealish's legs, his calves are bigger than my head, but rugby league have got it's the complete package. There's no other sport like it. It's the toughest sport there is. And so I would say very, very simply, the only thing that's come along now, which is arguably a sport, would be CrossFit training. That is a system that's designed
MMA
to create
fighters, boxers.
Boxers historically.
I don't think if you judge in multiple categories and rated them in every category,
MMA beats any
player. I think your fittest rugby league player would destroy an MMA overall categories. The strength would be seriously stronger. Miles stronger.
It wouldn't be miles. I think you know.
But you're talking MMA. What's Conor Gregor about 75 kg?
That's about 110 kilo.
Yeah, that's a weight class.
So there is some about 110 kg.
Yeah,
but they're not going to have the. I don't think they'd have the. If they were going to do a race and speed. And I don't know enough.
Well, the Diaz brothers
do triathletes.
To at fittest, they can do anything. I think you've got a point. I don't think they'd run. I don't think you'd see an MMA guy doing 7 marathons like King Kev's just done on the back of. It'd be in the olden days, you'd be 2 young superstars. Was the only thing we could watch to see superstars at 10 events. And it wasn't, listen, you can't tell there was a bit of skill of basketball. But the ones who got good, historically, were judo, like a guy called Brian Jacks, another one called Neil, Olympic gold medal. These guys were Jacks won it 8 year on trot. And then they all started training for it, and then other people won it, and they caught up with him. But historically, the judo lads were just that far. They did the dips. He broke world record live on television. They couldn't believe what he did, and all they used to just eat oranges, damn chickens. But a Superman, Jacks were a Superman, fitness fanatic.
Well, you're probably right. Based on that, then mixed martial arts is probably something that would, compete overall as well. I don't know how much sprint work they do. I don't know, if you're going to come up with multiple categories.
You'd have to put Ellery up there, wouldn't you? Though you'd have to put Ellery.
I thought we saying
now.
what's the argument? Are we saying of all time? Because like you said, all time.
No. Saying now
compared to other sports.
I think our sport now has fallen behind in the sports. In my view, obviously I've said it before. Whether some people probably disagree, but in my view, the sports science in rugby league it's catching up now. But it's that far behind other sports. I think other sports have now overtaken us.
Are we including the NRL on that, or just when we stick to Britain? Because you'd have thought, Super League.
But I know what you're saying, and obviously budgets has meant that rugby league haven't invested as much in sports science as other sports with more money.
But like MMA don't have any money in England. It don't have much money there.
The people will invest. Well, all right. Well, that's a separate thing. But let's just say, as a general rule, that rugby league it isn't invested compared to football, for example, or even cricket. But even still, the training they've done, the getting up and getting down, everything they've done, even old school wise, you need to be such a complete athlete to play rugby league. We talked about when rugby union players cross over, they're like, I can't do it in the olden days because it's up and down.
Luther Burrell just said it.
Luther Burrell, a great example. Kieran Hudson was sat here and saying, well, actually, no, us middles are actually some of the fittest because we've got to do, that side of up and down and back and forth and all that. So. And Ellery started it all, didn't he? Ellery's a bit like Tiger Woods in golf, where he started using fitness.
He did a gladiator against Sophia on TV in the day. I think they did it.
What, on Gladiators for TV show? Did it?
I think rugby players, to make it a successful rugby player, you need what you're talking about, the basics. So I think the basis of a rugby league player is probably the fittest overall athlete, minus my MMA, but fittest overall athlete in most major sports.
Let's talk. We're not the fittest because triathletes are fitter than
not
us.
Fitter.
Overall, I think our biggest thing is your mental toughness. Put a triathlete on a rugby pitch for 10 minutes, he's out there within 1 minute.
But I just think with that bit, I think we've still got loads to learn in the sports science area that I think other sports are catching up for us. I think our basis is higher than everyone else's, but I think other sports.
Just a very quick one. Like you're talking about a marathon runner. That's
anything.
No, but
I'm not optimising anything.
No, but you were saying about they'll be the fittest. No,
triathletes.
The endurance, they'll win in endurance, but fitness is specific to the sport. It's overall fitness. To be able to carry 100 kilograms and still run the 10k in a match you're required to, it's that complete package of strength, speed, endurance, agility. That's what.
Be interesting, wouldn't it? Because I tell you who would have the answers at Loughborough. Loughborough test every athlete at Loughborough. They know, and I think some of the rugby lads have done. So I do believe it. I don't know if it was Newman or somebody did something on a rower, and the rowing guy came up to him and said, it could have been the twins, and he said, how old are you? I said, 17 or 18. They said, do
you want a scholarship?
Yeah, they more or less said they couldn't believe it.
Perfect,
athletic as they were, they couldn't find 6'5" doing what they did with endurance, what they've got with the things. They were like,
they need the longer limbs.
Yeah, I think the body count, the fat count below 5% or whatever is 6%. So I think
they are freaks, aren't they?
Yeah, but I think they added up. And I think a lot of young lads, I'll try and get some information for next week. It'd be great to see, because like you said, in Superstars we had a guy called Des Drummond. Do you remember Des? Yeah. Des did Superstars. Right. He was fast. He was strong.
He was a winger, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was fast and strong, but I don't think Des won. I think the most famous one ever in the day was Kevin Keegan. Kevin Keegan was best player in the world for 2 years, 3 years, European Player of the Year. And they got him in, and he was leading, and then he got on bike. I mean, they couldn't do it now with Messi in there. He got on bike, and he said, I'm not ready to come back. He had to do 2 laps, and he fell off. He flies, he's got a police thing on YouTube. Imagine Liverpool just selling him for 5 million, and he's flat out. Honestly, his knee were ripped to death. He got up, and he was still trying to win, so his drive was still there, but I think it killed him because they all started training to win the Superstar.
Yes, and then you become specific to that sport. And that goes to sum up on the original point. What you have to be a top rugby league player, you can cross over into so many other things. Like the destroy row machines, they pull them to pieces when we're doing it because they're so powerful. Yeah. And there's some who've got serious sprinting ability, endurance, and overall the strength to weight ratio. If we think of some of we can't use the term anymore that used to get used, but the freakishly strong people, you get one every few years. Like Harry Newman's probably the latest one that falls into that category. People like even fellow players, just to plug someone of ours, I was with Joe Hurd yesterday, who's a very strong young man, and he said, I've just seen, he was karate, but he's just seen Jack Hansen, who's a little halfback, and he's deadlifting 200 kilograms, and he's just like, it's insane. But he's lifting nearly 3 times his body weight. You know, they're freaks. And yes, we are behind with the sports science compared to sports that have got a load of money. But we're still producing the best athletes. Tedesco in Australia is regarded as the best overall athlete.
Yeah, 100%. Right, guys, let's crack on with what we're going to do now. We're going to roll straight into. We've done Hull. Joe did Hull famously, did well. We're going to do Leeds first, guys.
Yeah.
So it's Leeds Rhinos for all you fans out there. We're going to have a look at who's in, who's out. We're going to look at if there's been any coaches being brought in or out. We're going to try and predict. And Rowan watches this. We're going to be very careful. Rowan and Gary Edrington do watch the programme. So, we're going to be very careful because we will get the full lot here. But we always talk the truth. So, guys, give us your ins.
I'll go with ins to start with, if that's all right. I'll let Joe focus on the outs.
I mean, Joe's not done outs.
Yeah, fine.
But so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 new additions.
Wow.
Last year there was only 4, and then 5 when you factor in Zach coming halfway through or so.
Wow.
9 new signings. Average age of a new signing, have a guess?
25 weeks.
Maybe 21, 22.
Oh no, it's just under 24. 24. But you've got Alfords at 30.
Yeah, you've got 1 or 2 on you.
So you've got 30 Alfords, yeah. So yeah, Daryl Alfords. Should we go through them one by one? Have a bit of a crack about them. Daryl Alfords, 30-year-old, obviously coming from Cass. I would say really divided opinion amongst Leeds fans from everything I saw when this announced. At the time, lots of them going, why do we need another winger? You know, why are we prioritising that before other signs were made? Statistically, his yardage is superb. You know, I think a lot of Cass fans would probably say he does a brilliant job and does that side of things great. Clearly, you'd imagine Rowan's main motivation in signing him is the meters that he makes. What do you think?
One though, isn't it? Because you look at, I watched him years ago, and I think he was playing for. He started off at like Newcastle or somewhere, didn't he? Winging, and then he got the chance at Salford, I think, and then he came.
Yeah, he started off in League One, didn't he?
Yeah, I watched him because Callum Busty played the game. They were outstanding.
Right.
His yardage that day was.
His story's amazing.
Callum was playing for Newcastle. He was playing for somebody else. He was outstanding, and I followed him a little bit. Obviously, it's not a shock if we say his skill level has to improve. He's not bad over the air, but he's not exceptional in the air. His defensive reads are okay. Rowan will back his system. He wants somebody who can bring that ball back. It's as simple as that. But, and with you a bit, Jim, you look at some of them young uns, and I've heard the word on the street is that they're just, some of them, Dono said to Gailey the other week, these young lads here at Leeds are another level.
Yeah.
Like, they're seeing it coming. So I'd have said, prioritise. I'd have thought, got a few here. Rowan might have not thought they were ready.
He might, yeah.
Well, my answer to that
is it a 2-year deal?
My answer to that, is that he's 30, isn't he? Like, I think you, if as a Leeds fan, knowing you've got some incredible wingers, centres coming through, you would be a bit annoyed if they signed anyone from the age of 25 to 29. I think the fact he's 30 shows, you know what, we're going to plug a gap for a year or two. Whether he thinks it's a gap or not is a different issue, but he's obviously said, let's plug a gap in yardage meters that we need to fill. Let's have him in for a year or two before the young lads are fully ready to come in. That's obviously what he's done, whether you agree or disagree.
And I think there was probably an element of, in terms of budget, they probably got him at a good price.
Yeah.
You know, knowing that he is proven meters, you'd probably say for his price tag, it's probably quite a good acquisition to give, you know, I feel for Tyndall, obviously we all do, but give him a little bit more time. Hopefully he'll still get, you know, he got a fair amount of games last year. Hopefully he does again this year. But that's certainly probably his, out of the 9 he's made, probably his shortest term, you know what I mean? His short term signing. He's signed. Nene McDonald announced this week finally at 28. You're probably saying that I think it's a 2-year deal, so they might see how he goes. But
so again, Rowan's sorry, Rowan's saying Max is not ready yet. He thinks that
Levi needs a little bit longer.
Levi, yeah. There's a few there then, isn't it? That he's obviously Sutty's gone, so he's needed to. Listen, I thought he was outstanding for Lee, but that Rig Champ one, and they got 85% ball. I didn't think he was as good at Papua New Guinea in the World Cup. I expected a lot more. Whether somebody might correct me and say, "Oh, he did this, he did that," but I think it's a different game when he's there. Let's hope he is.
It's going to be.
Rowan's got history with him, so I'm sure that's we said it on the show about.
It's a big reason, isn't it?
Yeah, so he was with Rowan in the New Zealand under-20s, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And clearly he's... I mean, I thought, before Lee went mad last year, Nene McDonald, for the first, let's say, 8 weeks of the season, was by far the standout player, albeit in a team dominating, but he was standout, and that's when all the interest was coming in, wasn't it? There was a lot of teams having a look at him, understandably. I read a few comments on the back of the announcement. Lee fans,
but it's a mixed bag, isn't it?
It is, and you've got to be careful because you might get a few who are bitter, but I read comments and there were clearly not just bitter fans going, "Oh, well, he's not that good anyway." They were being quite specific about his defensive abilities and getting that. So there's a few question marks, and like you say, and we've said many times, playing in a team that dominates, it's easy to look good. When he's got a lot of defensive work to do, that's got a bit of a challenge for him. But in attack, athletically, wonderful. But it's going to be interesting, that one, isn't it? It's going to be interesting to see how he steps up against quality opposition week in, week out.
Well, I think that's what Leeds said, didn't they? When Rowan come in, he said, even though you can't, it's sometimes hard to see, obviously, because attack's easy to see when things change. I think defensive systems probably have to look a lot closer, don't you, to understand if it's changed or not. And I think that, I think a lot of Leeds players say with Rowan coming in, he actually changed the defensive systems more than he did the attack, which I think would shock a few people. But I think they said that, so he, like you said, he obviously trusts his defensive coaching, and I think we speak to Rhys Lovegrove a lot, who's coach at Kiwi. He's very good friends with Rowan. I think they speak most days, and he says, he does a different defensive system as me, but he knows the system and he knows it in and out, Rowan. So he obviously backs that. So he's probably saying with Alfords, I don't need an amazing world-class defender, but I need big body.
I want to see Alfords and Meme next to each other on an edge. I'd go for them. Are you kidding me? If I were coaching against them, I'd be like, "Hey, we fancy this today, lads."
That's where obviously Rowan says no, not with me teaching them what to do.
Yeah,
and then that goes back to I had an argument yesterday about that. Somebody saying our systems are great. That's brilliant. If your systems are good and you've got Messi, just make it easier. If your systems are good and somebody said about the great Spanish teams, I went, well, they had extra Avi, Rahul, they had generation players everywhere. What are you on about? It's ridiculous argument. You're looking at. Let's just we're going to do an England thing later. Watched England last night, and we're not going to want about it, but leave it. But the best player on the pitch by a million mile, Bellingham. It was world class. What he's just done puts him Roy Keane job and younger. By the way,
I said it to Steph. That's the. Even though everyone knows him, that was his coming out.
But what I'm saying to you, the reason I'm using that point is Southgate's loyal. It's going with his system. He's also got the emergence of best player in the world. He's got Patrick Vieira. This kid he plays like Vieira to a tempo. He's got everything, left, right foot, athletic, tough. And so when they say a system, like you say, then I always laugh at me and go, okay, so if you've got James Bentley in defence, you're probably all right. Apart from his head shots, you're probably all right. You've probably got an edge covered because that's not the system. Because James can make 50 tackles. I've got Morgan Smithies and Morgan Knowles in middle. Probably going to be all right in middle because they do 120 tackles between them and they can play 80. Do you get me?
Yeah.
So when I hear people say it and Reece and I've heard it and I get it, I'd have to just say a little bit. Come on, individuals can make a coach look at plank or not. You can actually put every system in place, and if you haven't got the players who can read it, now that'll be interesting. Meme and Alvert's there. I'm telling you, I'm only being honest, and Rowan might come and say to me, I'll show you, I've got a feeling he will. But I'd be going down there. Because if you've got Myler round back of that, I'm going for all three of them.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, and that's where the question marks are. Have they looked defensively frail because they've never had a real good understanding of how they should defend, or can we not tackle? Because you can't teach someone to tackle in 6 weeks. when they've been doing it a certain way for 20 years. But if it is that they've played in systems and they've never really understood it, and now they're going to be coached like intricately about how this system works and your positioning and your reads and things, we will see. But I think
we are talking like they are terrible defence. They are.
No one said terrible.
Well, no, not the word, but we're talking like they're very respectful.
Just fun.
Down the edge, and because I said that since I see something, and I look at me and go, if I'm a coach, and do you know how they load up, don't you? So most teams historically load up on a left edge, but they also load up where the weakness is. So if you're pre-training on Monday, you look up, let's say other sides, Ash Handley
and Harry,
let's just say for instance Harry, and then you've got your back rower. I think you'd go left and right. My opinion.
Do you mean right and left?
Yeah. Well, Alverts and Memmi. If that's the way they're doing it, I'm going there with that. You put an half-back in there as well who's not brilliant. Do you get me? All your attacks on a switch to what you see.
100%. And I do think that, we'll get into it more, but you're probably looking at Harry and Nene as being two of the most exciting attacking centres in the league. If Nene can step up accordingly, which, let's give him benefit of doubt.
We would have had 6 games a year, haven't we, thought last?
Yeah, definitely. But I would also say that defensively, you're looking at arguably two of the weak ones. I know Harry can put a shot on, but again, if you were to pick, if we're being mean and you were picking Harry apart, you wouldn't pick him on, you wouldn't criticise attack, maybe a bit greedy at times. It'd all be about defence. So it's interesting.
Well, it's weird, isn't it? Rowan's balancing the side so far with your Elverts, with your Harrys. They bring your ball back 100 mile an hour, 150 metres. Memmi's not a yardage man.
He's not, no.
Myler's not a yardage man. No off Richie. Richie's not doing a 150 Tedesco job.
No. You've got Handley and...
But you've got Ashley as an animal.
Yeah.
So you're probably mixing that blend of Tyndall's a yardage animal if he gets a chance at it. So maybe somebody's sin. So go on, sorry, Jimmy, go on.
Yeah, so that's Nene, and then the only other older signing is the latest, well, relatively recent, is slamming Sam Lasone at 28. He's obviously come over from the NRL, played at Gold Coast, I think he played the first 14 of the season, didn't play since, but this is the one where his partner is Georgia Hale, one of the top ladies players, and there's still nothing agreed, but there's always been talk that she might be coming in to sign for the Rhinos. They're over here now. He's played 130 NRL games, obviously a big Samoan, 110 kg powerhouse, going to offer something a little bit different down the middle. So
Jimmy's just sold it as being there, lassie's better than him, so
relatively speaking, she's regarded as one of the top players in the women's game. Well, I mean, obviously all the conspiracy theorists are like, well, is there going to be little ways and such to... But it's still not announced. She's said that she's definitely having a chat with Gary after the World Cup was out of the way, but still yet to see. But that'd be great for the women's game over here, wouldn't it? We're doing... This could be a really weird twist on what they do to us with nicking some of ours. We're like, well, I'll tell you what, then we can't nick the men yet, but we'll nick the women for now, and we'll make our women's game stronger.
Yeah, get it.
So he's the other senior signing, and then the rest we're talking. If we take them out, we're talking average age of 20.
Go on then, roll them out.
So let's start with. I'll put bias aside, and I'll start with probably one I'm really excited to see. Who's not a show me lad is James McDonald from Wigan. We saw a little bit of him play for Ireland, didn't we, in the World Cup game against Jamaica. He's played a handful of games for Wigan. He went out on loan, played some at Lee. He might have even had one or two at Newcastle. But I like what I see of him so far. You know what you're getting.
Why would you play to Leeds, Jimmy?
Why would I take a young player to Leeds?
No, you. Why would you? I'm asking your opinion.
For Rowan. Yeah, for Rowan. Because you've got the trust in him. But
No. Forget about that, not from being an agent. Why would Leeds think they need a young player when they've got 10 young players?
Because I think it's clear that Leeds are very much planning 2, 3, 4 years ahead. I think
so he's 2 or 3 years ahead of Max and them, is he?
He's 22. Yeah, he's 4 years older than Max. He's a back rower come centre. I think that... In a nutshell, I think what he's done this year, he's signed 5 or 6 in that 19 to 22 bracket, who he's at the money you can get him for, and he's seen enough that he can afford to not gamble, because they're all quality and you've seen enough, but if 2 or 3 of them become regular first team players for the next few years, it's brilliant. He likes working with young players. He's there to develop them. So
I admire it so much.
Yeah.
I'm playing devil's advocate.
Yeah, I know you are. Yeah, that's my
how much
opinion on
if
it.
you're a young lad, and you know, and
But again, I think the young lads, you know, speaking to a couple of them, no one's worried. I've not heard anyone go.
Gannon and Bentley are playing. If he's a back rower.
Yeah, I think Gannon and Bentley, you know, clearly he'll be there. But he can cover at centre as well. We've just talked about Nene. Harry, we know about injuries. So I think there's real... He might play 10 games this year. You know, if I was to pick a number, I don't think we'll see McDonald playing 20 games.
I think he's signed on the knowledge of playing 10 games at 22 years old. Coming from
I would have thought so. I think he'll be realistic about it.
I think John said to...
I don't think so. I don't think it's mad, no.
Why would you go at 22 and... 10 games a season.
Because I'm not sure what his options were for going somewhere and getting a starting shot.
I think it's to go.
I think it's a good...
It's not automatic. Yeah, they didn't want him to go. What it is when you cap so as it is, they might have only been able to offer him X amount, whereas Leeds might, so we can beat that.
Yeah, chuck an extra 10 in.
And we've got him because of the way the cap's worked out. I'm just looking at it thinking, you know, I don't know. If I'm a young lad, do you know when... Historically, when you see the young lads coming in and you think you've got it covered, and I'm sure Rowan's so brave what he's doing, like I said, I really admire him. But then you've got John Bastian probably saying to Rowan, look, that's my crop there. I've probably got this crop, what I think is going to be. He'll have it all done number-wise for what they're going to do. But I suppose it's really hard because she can change somebody's mind by being determined and good. There'll be lads in that camp, he'll come through like a phoenix or rise, and they'll say, mate, I'm better than him now. Are you kidding me? And that's what they should take on. The challenge should be, why are you looking away here? We're already here. And I think they've just won the grand final, the Leeds, first time in 15, 16 years. I'd be a little bit like, come on, let's show them. You don't need to be bringing players.
Yeah. No, I totally get that, yeah. We've played devil's advocate well there. But I can see it. And you know, it's how much does he back himself? You know, look at what Joe Bapsley did at Saints in the last 2 years. So we'll see. You know, but he's someone who stands out to me just from seeing glimpses. Physically, I think looks great.
Spoke very well.
Yeah. So moving on, we've got Leon Ruin, who's the young lad who came in from Donny, came through at Wakey. I've seen him play a good few times for Donny this year. How would I describe him? Physically, you can see the attraction. He's a big lad. He's athletic. He's got speed. Raw is the word you'd use to describe him. So, it totally different to McDonald. I don't see Leon getting very many chances at all this year. I think he's a 2, 3, 4 year sort of plan. You know, where they find him game time, I don't know, but
they got him
the reserves for
what
him.
Position does he play?
Back row. Yeah,
they got him a photo a couple of days ago. Rhinos put a lot of photos up of the training. It's him and Sangare tackling a player. He's bigger than Sangare.
Oh, he's tall.
He's bigger than Sangare. This second row he's bigger than a prop who is regarded as a massive prop.
Yeah, I mean, he won't be as heavy, but he's tall. He's very
big,
tall.
He's physically,
he's big,
as imposing, and whether his weight is obviously, like you said, his weight will be like. He was as big as Sangare. It was unbelievable. You've got a pure athlete there. If you can turn him into, work on and turn him into something. Which obviously Rowan backs himself to do. You've probably got something there.
Yeah.
You've got them raw materials, as Jimmy said earlier when we were talking about the athletes. When you're talking about the athletes, he has got that. When I was saying that baseline, he is that baseline. Whether they can get the sport, the knowledge, and everything else into him, that's the question. Because obviously he has been out of systems and that he's not. So if he can do it, fair play to him.
Yeah, definitely a project there. And then you'd probably put Toby Warren into the same category, a show me lad. Also 19-year-old, so I'll pass him on to you. He's raw, but physically,
he's an athlete,
impressive,
isn't he? York, he took on the famous game where we realised what we had more than anything, wasn't it? The famous game where
Matty Nicholson, didn't
York played Newcastle and he played Matty Nicholson, who's obviously one of the highest rated set-back rowers young rowers in the game. And he arguably won that one match-up, whether obviously long-term I think he can, but obviously he probably won that match-up that day, and we were like, wow, we've got somebody here who are unbelievable. And he's played a lot of games, so he was at York, but he played a lot of games at the Leeds Reserves. His birthday just fell just before, so he fit into the under-18s, even though he should be the year above, but he's got a late birthday, so we fit in. Played all under-18s as well, ripped up for Leeds under-18s when York and them worked together. He played at the reserves. And
we're not expecting him to play this year, Joe, are you?
No, I never said that.
I'm saying for squad for this year. I'm saying that we expect him to play.
No, I think he's in the same category as.
No, I think he's
Leon.
a couple of years ahead of Leon. I'd say. I think he's been given the 22 shirts.
Oh,
he's
good play then.
23 shirts. So yes, I think he's got a chance.
Oi.
I'm backing him. I think he's got a chance to get 1 or 2 games this year, dependent on injuries and things. Obviously, if they don't get injured, he'll struggle to get in. But if there's a couple of injuries, I think he's got a chance.
You've got a dream.
Yeah. Okay, so then let's go to another show me boy, Lewis Roberts. You know better than most. He's had, came through at Swinton.
Well, I'd say the same. If I were a young lad, I'd say you'd probably be thinking, why we're bringing Ease and Lewis has come in. So as a young player, you'd be thinking, how much better is Lewis than also at this moment in time?
Yeah.
It'll all be proved in next 6 to 8 weeks, I should think. Lewis is the same, 6'5", athletic. Probably played a lot more games than a few of them. Probably got 50 championship games in. So
that's his thing, innit? He played a lot at Swinton. Doing really well, and then obviously Lee signed him. He got an handful of games at Widnes.
Didn't he?
Yeah, so he
ripped it up at Widnes, didn't he?
No, I thought he cliff.
No, he didn't.
Yeah. Well, John Key were dying to
I
re-sign
wanted loads
him.
more of him. Who did?
John.
John did.
We're dying to re-sign him.
No, I don't think he excelled at Widnes, in my opinion. I think he's got it all to prove.
That's what
I
I
think he's in the right environment with Rowan, and he's got unbelievable. He's very good in air. He didn't play in the World Cup, which was shocking for him. His carries are good out of yardage. He probably lacks a little bit of impetus, as in, I've got a feeling how it'll work.
What does that mean?
So as in, he don't come naturally for carries, and he'll stick to a system. And I'll probably challenge him, saying, "Look what you're doing." Corey Hall goes and looks for it, seems to find it. You know what I mean? Corey Hall, that ball can be anywhere on that pitch, a bit like Harry, and they can find a carry. Whereas Lowell sit in shape and miss it all for 25 minutes, then you're thinking, as soon as they get the stats at half time. So his biggest challenge with Rowan and the group will be, listen, you've got to carry your corner. You've got to at least, to me, 14, 13 carries a game, which is a lot above what he's been doing.
Yeah.
I think the most he got up Lee were like 12 or 11, so he's going to have to go to that next level, but he's got all the tools to do it.
Yeah, again, you see the pattern with what Robin's doing here. He's almost saying, well, you've got 3 of the 5 attributes I want in someone, so I'm willing to work with you.
Robin's taking the biggest gamble ever. I hope he does listen to this, and he does. Robin's just finished grand finalist behind a poor, shocking last 5 year at Leeds. So Rowan's gone and he's the top of the table, the top chef. Everyone loves him.
Yeah.
He's come in and got it. This is his first own. They want his players last year. These are his players. So he's come in now and gone, right, I've done that, and now watch what I can do with my own signings. Gary's giving him carte blanche to go and do it. What does that, you know what that brings on, don't you?
Yeah.
Supreme pressure.
I don't know,
because
because
if Leeds now finish 6th and 5th, I'm telling you, I know Leeds fans, they'll be like, what the... Because he's given them such a... He's just gone bang. And I don't think that's ever been done what Rowan did last year. To come into a club as he did, totally turn season round, with existing players. He didn't bring any players in to make the magic. He just improved the group. In fact, he probably
did he bring Zach in, though? Why was he already in?
One player. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
I'm just saying.
What he did,
he can't say he didn't bring anyone.
Yeah, but he was exceptional. What he did, it's absolutely exceptional. But I think that everyone's going, right, Rowan? And he's got all these players, people, let's be honest, you people who don't study game go, well, who we got? That's what people do. Yeah. Memmy unproven, Lewis Roberts unproven, kid from Wigan unproven.
Yeah.
So you'll get all these, and if they get beat with some of these playing, Rowan will feel a different type of pressure. Again, he's back in his coaching. We all want Rowan to do amazing because he's breath of fresh air. He's done something that we've dreamt about for years. But I tell you what, he's not done the easy one, has he? He ain't gone, let's go and get 3 200-grand players.
Yeah.
And Gary, I want 2 marquees, and these are my marquees. Get rid of him, I want this marquee player. He ain't. He's done something that's that brave. If it comes off, he could be next statue up at ground, honestly. I don't think people realise how big of a gamble. Harry's got to come back fit, and historically now, let's all be honest, Harry has not proved he can play more than 8-9 games. So Harry's that little lad. Listen, what he went through last year at UB4, it's heartbreaking. I saw him at changing room. Myler's been one of the best signings for Leeds, in my opinion. Because he came, and I didn't think there was no way he could play. I thought he came as an half-back.
Well, he looked.
And we'd all counting him out.
It's a half-back.
You dare to say he looked. You stayed to say that at the time when he first signed, he wouldn't finish, wasn't he? Well, they're taking a massive gamble.
And then with the Jack Walker injuries, it's beyond belief.
The full-back switch has given him another.
But I don't think he can go again. Honestly, I'm telling you, I think there's a lot of things. Losing Sutty sounds daft. It's what it is. Sutty's form in that last 6 or 8 games. I think Rowan came in, didn't see, Sutty's like laid back and he's thought, I think Rowan's gone at Sutty and gone, can I learn him to go to the next level?
I mould him, yeah.
And he's probably gone, probably not, because Sutty's stuck in his ways, happy-go-lucky, gets in car, don't do all this, you get me?
Yeah,
Sutty's probably needed this thing at all. But I tell you what, he'll be missed, because Sutty's a better player than what everyone give him think for.
Yes, definitely.
And the Leeds fans didn't even give him it. I watched him walk off at Old Trafford. We were sat next to his mum and dad, they were crying their eyes out. And I thought, he come a year off his testimonial, He didn't get the toffee he deserved from making his debut at 17-year-old at that club. No. And he's played in 3 or 4 grand finals, he's played in every big game, world clubs. Yeah. And he's played in 7 positions.
He's seen it all, yeah. He's seen it all,
centre, 6, made him a full-back. Yeah. He literally played every position. Back row. They were suddenly saying, he'll be next back row. I'm thinking, he has been a phenomenon for him.
Absolutely.
And the Bentley situation will be interesting. Because Bentley's got a year left on his deal, whether they've announced something else, but he's got a year left on his deal. If James does want to go NRL and give that a crack, there's that movement as well. James come across, we all know what James can do. He absolutely embezzles, being determined, and he's brought Leeds something different, hasn't he? He's brought them. They never had that, but I tell you what, at times they were frustrating. At times, them fans must have been like that, going, what?
Well, for the first 10 weeks of the season, we were, yeah.
And he missed, how many games did he miss? I think he missed
7 of them.
It was terrible. More. So there's a lot. What I'm saying is there's a lot going off.
Yeah, there is. But I will say, I'd like to think that anyone looking at what Rowan's doing should not be too hung up on next year. He's been employed for a longer term. I'm sure there's been conversations that we want you to guide us through the next 5 years. That's how I view it. And I think these signings epitomise someone who will, I'm sure, I still think Leeds will do well. I think we'll challenge for the playoffs, no doubt about it. But any Leeds fan who's thinking they're going to get him at top 3 next year is very optimistic.
Do you think you can be Leeds coach and not think like that?
I think he can afford, on the back of last year, with what he's shown he can do, that he can have a year of competing. Don't get me wrong, they can't afford to be in the bottom 4, but the big question on Rowan is the 2-3 years after that. We've said forever, we can't flip it too much, because we've said forever what Saints have done, bringing through the young players and having people in the system, what Leeds used to do and what Wigan do and what other clubs are doing as well. This is what for me, it's so clear, he's thinking, some of these, I've signed 6 of these, if I hit 3 out of 6 and I've got my eye on 3 or 4 that are already in our academy, then I've got 8 who I think can be Super League players in 2-3 years time, and in 3 or 4 years time some of them will have clocked up 50 games and the halfbacks will be long gone. They might be gone after this year. That's the next step for the progression. I think this year is near enough a free hit, and I know Leeds fans put a lot of pressure on. If Leeds get in the top 6 this year, get in the playoffs, have a go in knockout rugby, brilliant. And then next year and the year after, let's see which of these start coming through.
I agree with you, Jim, that should probably be the way that they do it, but historically, I don't think they have. And then, secondly, I think if they are doing that, they probably need to come out and say it, don't they? I don't think there's been anything said like, guys, you know what?
But no one's going to say we're not going to.
But then you've got to be judged. It's Leeds Rhinos. You've got to be judged on winning the thing. Then
you can't take both.
But I still think if you're getting to knockout rugby, we know from knockout rugby this year, anything goes. They need to get in the playoffs, definitely. But I'm talking about building a team to be in the top two, like Saints are and Wigan are very, very close to. I think that's the 3-year plan, the 4-year plan. We know some of the lads in the academy have now got first-team contracts. There's some serious quality. They've just won the academy grand final. These lads are 19, 20 years old who is adding. I think the future for Leeds is brighter than any other club in 3 or 4 years' time.
I'm totally with you, but I still think if you are the Leeds coach, unfortunately, you die.
Whether it's right or wrong.
Yeah, it's right, but if you're there and you don't, they've won the Challenge Cup 2 years ago, they've got a grand final this year.
Yeah.
They've got to be up there, and probably like you said, you think top 6, I think top 4, because there's only 12 teams at Leeds, probably and 3 who can win it.
Without being sick,
so we'd have to be top 4.
I think we just need to get in the playoffs and get in knockout rugby. But I will say this is probably a good way of summarising it. If Leeds are in the bottom 4 or bottom 5 April, May time, I don't think Rowan gets sacked. Put it that way. I don't think it's going to be this short size.
I don't think he gets sacked.
I know. No, but you're saying there's going to be loads of things on. I think from the club's point of view, they're trusting him for 3, 4, 5 years.
100%.
I
don't think that's not what we're debating. I think the debate's whether Leeds fans are happy or not.
Well, some will never be happy. Like at every club.
He's the bravest. I think what he's doing, I admire so much. I hope he pulls it off. It's a bit like you said about Reece. He's doing it keepily. I've got these players, my system's that good, it'll do it. When you talk like that, you better deliver. Because when you're talking about systems, Watto does it here. Systems, process. If Ian Watson next year, and we all think Ian's a fantastic coach, we think what he's done at Huddersfield is he's changed their mentality, changed the play different. Bottom line is Paul Anderson got to a final and won the league. So Paul Anderson got to a Challenge Cup final, won the league. Nathan Brown, top 4. If you're 5 years of having Huddersfield, but what always turned into process and coaching, but you don't win out, you don't. Well then, Salford and Peter Mintley. You know what I mean? You look and you go, what does all this mean then?
Yeah, definitely. And Watto is now getting to that period where he needs to start living. I'm looking forward to 2025. Rowan Smith, top 2 in Super League.
Yeah. And then for 5 years.
Yeah.
Then he'd be 5 years.
You've got to,
That's how I view it. And that would be my message.
Got a great point though. Maybe that's what Gary should come out and say to listen, we're going to go for it, but please,
be patient.
We're going to win you 4 or 5 grand finals. We're not going to win you 1. We're not going to do that no more. We're going to win you 4 or 5.
Well, so my message is, if you're a Leeds Rhinos fan and you look at those signings, it's there for you to see. It's not doing. Leeds last year made signings for immediate success in theory. It don't work. So I think anyone looking at that, if they haven't seen it and haven't seen the ages of players he's signing, and he hasn't seen that he's just put another 3 or 4 lads onto first team contracts in the last 12 months from the academy, then it's fair to see. If you're getting playoffs this year, be happy, because in knockout rugby, Bat 17 can beat anybody. But think about 2 years, 3 years.
I think Dwyer are better than what we give him credit for.
I agree.
We'll go through the outs now then, shall we?
Well, we've got a couple more ins. Just to finish up then. So we've done Lewis Roberts. We've not talked about Luke Hooley. So the championship recruit from Batley, standout fullback in the division for the past 2 seasons, certainly top 3 undoubtedly. It was an early signing. Clearly again, do I think he'll be featuring very heavily? Not if everything goes to plan, but as you've touched upon, we've got 2 halfbacks and a fullback over 30 who are all very prone to picking 32, up picking up a knock. I think they're 31. I don't know what Milo is. He might be 33, 34.
34, yeah.
So I think Luke Hooley probably needs to be, and I'm sure Rowan ideally is just going to ease him into it, but there's a chance he could get thrown in and he could end up playing a lot of games this year, unless he looks at putting Ash at fullback and changing things around. But exciting to see, can he make the step up? He needs a big pre-season, probably needs to put a bit more size on, but he's been great in the championship. So
he can play.
No doubt about that.
John Bastian and Rowan both know him very well from where he's come from, so they'll have a very good idea. John always rated him.
Can I say this is the one that probably confuses me more than anything? Happy for Luke as a thing going to Leeds. I don't know whether it was his club he supported as a kid. I don't know, to be honest. But if it is, brilliant. He's done his dream move and all. But I don't understand this one because he is a bit older. He's 24 now, maybe turning. He's turning 25. That's
only 24 though. He's only
24. Maybe what's his birth? Obviously.
No, but I mean, I still think he's got 25. Time, hasn't he? It's not 28, 29 coming in.
But if he's not going to play much this season, and then are they guaranteeing him to be the starter?
No, I don't think any. That's what I mean. I think that's what I'm saying. These signings are all we can afford to have a look at them. We can see how they do. There's no guarantees because they're not paying 150 grand like you do for a Super League starting fullback.
But we know Leeds have got. In the under-18 team last year, there were probably 3 players who could play fullback best in the under-18 league, and that's probably 2 or 3 in the same position. Then,
well, Alfie Edgill's the young fullback coming through, but at that age, you're 3-4 years away from the Super League. Luke Cooley, they'll be hoping that. I think Luke Cooley could play 10 games this year. I think he could.
Cooley, and then either Edgill.
I think we play Ash out of position.
Riley. No, I'm saying years to come.
Yeah.
So I just don't know how that transition.
Right. Okay.
That's the
with the lads coming through.
Well, obviously, that's obviously what would. Yeah. How does that transition work?
Well,
that one confuses me more than Nene at 28, more than obviously the other lads at 27. Who's the other one we said again? Apologies.
Well, you've got Lissone at 28 and Nene at 28.
But them lads, that makes sense to me. In the and Alfort's at 30, that all makes sense. The 24, 25 age group's the one that I'd stay away from because he could be his peak at 28, where you'd want if at the same Alfie is that player the same
way. Thinking too deep.
Yeah, too deep.
I think so.
Well, that's what you were saying before.
No,
what's the difference between what I've said?
If Luke comes good, he's good. If not, no offence to Luke, he'll be back at Bradford. Batley, sorry, apologies. Or he might get a gig at Wake, they might go bang. I think he's one of them who they go. As Lewis Roberts is, I think there's 4 or 5 that've gone here. Have a look. If they are,
I think you argued what I've just said in a less in-depth version of what I've said. That's the point you made.
No, I would argue it. I don't like. I'm playing devil's advocate.
You're doing it. Okay.
Challenging it for the programme, so people who are listening go, okay, what do you think? Personal things I think are totally different. Sometimes I like to give my opinion ahead. I think the gamble's on Rowan. I think we'll rush through these because I want to go to Saint, but if you look at the outs, last in
is the first one. First one we did was Sangare. The first bit of business, the big prop. Everyone seems impressed with him. So he's only 24 as well, so again, exciting age, it's going to be, again, so strong, powerful runner.
You look historically, it's just so different. Like there's no Conrad. Every year Leeds signing Gailey when they did cause 2 years of publicity, wow. So even bringing Zach back, this is totally different.
Yeah.
This is so.
It's good to
we love it, though. We do love it.
Yeah.
Listen, we've got Corey Johnson. We think the emergence of Corey, if he gets super fit, Corey's going to be a super player.
Yeah. Well, we'll quickly go through the outs then.
Lost Alex Miller as well.
Well, the last bit. Sorry, very last bit is that Tom Holroyd is going to be like a new signing.
Yeah.
Because he missed all of last year. After he had that bad luck at Bradford getting the ban, he probably would have played 8 games for Leeds at the end of the season and been a big part of it. So I think exciting year for him. I think what we saw of him before his injury, to me, he was looking more than ready to go toe-to-toe with anyone in the league. So big year for him. I think he could end up playing pretty much every game for Leeds. So we'll see. I just hope he has an injury-free and punch-free season and plays as many as possible.
So the outs. We've got Zach Hardaker leaving to obviously the Lee Leopards. Probably a big miss. He was fantastic in that grand final. Who they replaced him with? Nene McDonald's probably his position replacement at centre.
And Hooley for fullback.
Hooley at fullback, obviously with Myler in that. So you've got You've got Brad Dwyer and Liam Sutcliffe both going to Hull FC. That'd be interesting, the Hull Leeds game, because them two, I'm sure, will be coming for Leeds and probably save their best. They'll probably be saving their best for that game. You've got obviously Jack Walker, Badine Thompson, both going to Bradford. You're losing Jack, who had the one shirt. Yeah. Obviously, Mile with terrible, so unlucky with his injuries. Jack, Badine Thompson probably coming to the end. So that's probably what Sam Lissone is replacing, the older prop. Yeah. You've got Muiz Mustafa. That's the. It's an interesting loss for me. For me personally, if I'm seeing the way Rowan plays, I thought Muzzy would fit that very well. That's just my Rowan likes to play fast, aggressive. Muzzy sort of fits that, so I don't. Maybe you can give us a bit of insight into it.
I think it was always his size, wasn't it? Yeah. Always just had a question mark on whether he's that. Excuse me, lads. LKR at the end, he played fabulous for LKR. Yeah. Towards the last playoff games of the year, and then he came into the Leeds expecting to play a lot of games. They've always just been, he blows up quick, so they've always said he blows up quick, but I thought his cardio got better. They've just purely played at 92 kg. You know, probably a lot of people are scared of that. I don't know.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know, just the way the game's going. You know what I mean? You look at them NRL props who are getting smaller and smaller. They're 97, 96, 95 playing prop.
But their fitness is extreme. My dad say about his problem was he didn't have a fitness to match that size. He'd have to have been fittest.
Yeah. So I think they're trying to challenge him to stay longer on the pitch.
Yeah.
And what he does, he fizzes. So he was looking headhunting. Then he blows up.
Use all his energy like that, doesn't it?
And so he needed to just, which comes with age, by the way. In 2 years' time, he'll get that. He'll be like that. I'll just take a step back. I don't need to be running about like that. You watched him play basketball, Joe. He's
fit as hell. Yeah, it's surprising.
No, I'm saying.
His intensity is obscene, isn't it? Yeah. He just goes bam, 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 bang, and then next thing you know, he's out of breath.
What? Here's one for you on this, and then we can wrap it up.
We've got two more. We've got three more. Matt Pryor, obviously retired now. Yeah. Well done, Matt. You've got Jack Broadbent leaving. Obviously, originally got released, and then Cass have signed him up. And then last one, Tom Briscoe, probably the Devil who's replaced Devil Alfords. So I think, to be fair to Rowan, probably the big misses throughout the team, they've lost two big props, whether you think they were at the level they needed to be at their older age. But they've lost two big props, replaced them with two big props.
With Holroyd coming back in, so arguably they're stronger.
Lost Zach, and they lost Zach. Obviously, they've replaced him with Nene. Whether I think Zach's better than Nene, but whether Nene can kick on to be better and better level. Obviously, you've got Tom Briscoe. They've signed a few young wingers and centres that can replace Tom. Brad Dwyer. They've got your old man Corey coming through to replace Brad, and then obviously Sutty. I think Sutty is probably the one. Whether you count Zach or Sutty, they're probably the centre position at that top level at this moment is probably the one where they've lost out. They're probably -1 on that.
I'm still just the pivots. I can't get my head around it. I can't get my head around 9-7-6-1.
But you can't. I don't
see 9-7-6-1 at the moment. Do I see that as being a grand final winner? I just can't, and that's me being honest and saying, Rowan, I hope we're all talking as many here.
Yeah.
I just can't see it.
Yeah.
I can't see Johnny Lomax and Dodsey, Wellesby and Roby getting that is grand final winning 4. That's the 4. We haven't been an easy answer.
Yeah.
That's a 4. I look at the other clubs, I don't see a 4 to get to that. And I think when it comes to that business side and then that control, what Johnny and them do and Lewis and what they do with Robes and Wellesby coming up back of it, that to me, that 4 pivots are absolutely outstanding. I can't see that on any others yet. I want to see somebody go, you know, let's say we look at Truey, if Truey come off thingy, and then you look at Dwyer, and then you look at their fullback, but I don't see that. I think that'll be a 3-year journey.
It'll be Texoy now, and then Jake Clifford. So
yeah,
we've got potential.
Wigan's the one who you'd probably say can Wigan with obviously Jai. You've got Harry, and you've got Cost. And then you've probably got Sam Powell we met the other day. You've probably got that, but that again's not as good as that 4.
No, you can't compare it to Saints.
That 4 for me again. I'm still Saints, but regardless of the rest of the Saints have got 4 people there in pivotal positions who, to me, are all
dream teamers. We're all dream team,
top class.
Yeah, it's literally the dream team, isn't it?
And if you go, we're going to step on now to to Saints aside, which brings us into it, that'd be my challenge to every other club. You know, I have an outside feeling that Keanu will have said this to you both privately. If Mikey, Rowan and Jordan, along with Jez and Parcell and Coots, therefore could be exceptional. Because they've probably got, in my opinion, the two hookers, certainly Jez. I feel in Jez will be best hooker in comp this year. I think he'll step up and take over Rovers' ground. I think he's England. He'll beat England hooker. There's some stuff Willie Peters said to me the other day. I was really that to tell me. I thought it for 3 years.
Yeah. I'll play devil's advocate. Parcell's been given the 9 shirt then.
Yeah.
I'll do that one. That's
because a young man and he didn't want to upset mine his last year. It's part of keeping the culture right. A lot of them do it, Joe. They won't make a big call like that. I would, but they won't. Yeah. So then you've got, but I said,
obviously for fans who don't, fans who aren't in depth, looking at you saying that, and if he's not wearing the 9 shirt, that does symbolise he's not the starting heart.
What did he say to you?
Yes, but that's what you played. I'm playing devil's advocate on you, just letting you explain to viewers what you're seeing then, because they'll type him in and he's got the, what is it? I think it's the 14.
I think they'd say he comes off bench.
Yeah,
that's it. But I think if you look at
they've done a good job with Connor at Leeds. He's got a 14 shirt because he's going to come off.
If you look at their players, much as year, but they potentially could be right up there. I still don't, leaving Leeds as it is, too many what ifs and too many development projects, as Jimmy said, for this to happen. My opinion. I hope Rowan laughs his head off and says, "Get that on for later."
The thing about that is they're not. I don't think there is in the pivots whether you think they're quality enough to win it or not. They're not what if. You know exactly what. You know what Austin is. You know what Caesar is. You know what Myler is. You know what
squad.
Yeah, but that's your
I'm
style.
saying they're not good enough towards that Saints. They're not. In my opinion, they're not at that level.
No one is. I think Saints' only concern with Saints is can Lomax and Roby's body keep going? That's fair only concern. Dodds coming back from injury.
I think the outside back's elite, and I think the athleticism elite. I think Gannon. You see some of the emergence of some world-class kids here. You just said Tom Allroyd. I'm so excited to think can Tom be best prop.
Yeah.
I'm looking at some signing. I'm so excited to Leeds and others. I just think when it comes down to them four,
they can't afford many injuries. That's the difference.
You've then got young Jack Sinfield going in at 19.
Well, do you know who else has been playing at 6? I saw an interview this week which might surprise a few because Rowan's aware that they've not got much depth. Obviously, Jack, you want to see Jack along with Max in another year or two, you know, but he's been playing Morgan Gannon at 6 and he says he likes what he sees.
It's ridiculous.
But this is Rowan Smith, the Leeds coach. This is him saying that he knows he's going to need options in that position, and that's what he's seeing. Whether it happens or not.
That's 5th option 6, and that's literally your 5th.
If you lose 2 of those older players, they need to come up with something. And Jack Sinfield is exciting. We've seen him play loads. Is he ready for those high-end Super League games yet? I don't think so. Morgan Gannon has played a lot of games. You know, he's physically, you know. So this is how Rowan thinks. So it's outside the box. It surprised me, like it surprised you. But
this is how. Said Reece Martin, and I said, yeah. I thought you were going to say Reece. Yeah. Reece has got Antoball, got Pre-Line, and my thing is.
Even Corey Johnson,
Rowan likes runners, really. So that's.
I think he's just done that to test it out, see if it does, and he's looked okay. Like I said. You've got literally 6 others that you'd put in front of Morgan, wouldn't you?
Well, you never know with Rowan. Not many people said he'd put Javid in.
Move on. Right, we've got Leeds. I finished 5th. I'm going to put a player. Let me finish. I'm going to put a player to look out for. So my player to look out for them this year, and the emergence of hopefully a top player will be Corey Johnson. If he gets fit, I'm going to put Corey down as the player to look for. I think he can emerge as a top hooker. And my other one, who I think, you know, I'm hoping is Allroyd. I'm an Allroyd to play for England.
Yeah, absolutely.
Guys?
So I've got them finishing probably similar 4th/5th. I've got them finishing 4th. I'll go 4th. I'll go one better than you if we're writing this down somewhere. I've got them finishing 4th. Player to watch out for.
So I can put it on.
Yeah, player to watch out for. I hope he gets his chance. He might be going on a season-long loan. So I personally hope that doesn't happen for him. Not for the club that he'll go to. They'll be buzzing, but I hope Levi Edwards gets his chance, and then I hope he gets to prove himself. He's a bit older now, isn't he? So he's probably there or thereabouts, I hope.
Yeah, I've got him 4th, 5th worst case scenario, depending on injuries. But I think if we keep him fit, we'll get 4th, those senior players. And yeah, as I said earlier, big year for Tom Holroyd. I think the others that I'm excited about are still a little bit of time away. I don't think we're going to see enough of him next year.
Give a shout to our own big Toby and them.
Yeah, and obviously young Max as well. I think he might get 5 games this year, but it's not their time yet. I think Holroyd, let's hope. He kind of, he's waited a while now, and he was just coming there. So.
Right, guys, Saints, let's get straight on.
Saints, can we do the outs first? Because I think it more sense to probably do the outs and then say who they're bringing,
go for it.
the other way around. So the outs, they've got Regan Grace going to Rugby Union, racing 92, big loss starting winger. They've got Josh Sim, who's off to Australia. They've got Aaron.
Which club has he gone, Joe? Which club?
Have you got it wrote down? I checked it, but I can't remember now.
Queensland.
Yeah, it's a Queensland club. Queensland
Cup
side.
Yeah.
No, it's a Queensland club side, I think, from what I read. It's Aaron Smith, who was at loan at Lee all season. He's signed at Lee now. Got Kyler Moore, who's off to Widnes. And then 2 young lads, one of them who we've actually took up, Rio Corkill and Tom Nisbet are the few. So you've got a winger. You've got Josh Sim, who was a centre second rower. You've got Aaron Smith, a hooker. Kyler Moore, prop. Rio is a centre, and you've got Tom Nisbet, who I'm not sure on old Tom. To be fair, I didn't see much of Tom last year, so I don't know much. But yeah, they're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players that have leaving Saints. So not a big turnover. And not many starters are leaving. You've lost one starter, which is incredible.
It's really good.
Because normally, as you've seen with Penrith this year, Penrith have lost 4, 5. They've lost quite a few. The year before they lost 3. They lost obviously they lost the one who's playing at Canterbury now, who's got the best dive bomb in the game, who's playing 6. But that was last year. They lost a few, and then this year they're losing Villamay, they're losing Happy Coruscant. I think they're losing 1 or 2 more. So they've probably got big answers where Saints are 4 years in and they've lost 1 starter. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
And on the back of that, they're only bringing 2 in.
Yeah.
And that's what.
Have you got your 2 in?
Yeah.
T.
Ritson and Wesley Bruins.
Wow.
So obviously T. Ritson was something that was talked about very early in the season. I mentioned it on here, and then with new coach coming in, it was all put on ice a bit and wait and see. And it's actually a season-long loan with a chance to make it permanent. So yeah. The only question mark against T. Ritson is defensively. We've seen what he can do. He scored 68 tries in 72 games. We know he can finish. He's electric. He is, Charlie at Barrow's told me for years. He said he is not someone who is the first in the gym and last in the gym. You look at his body; it's immense. He's just a freak.
Well, Lewis Dodd said the other day that he'd never seen anybody open up in his life like he saw him.
Right.
So it's that type of
thing.
It's
electric,
But just lost Reece, so they'd say top 5, and they said he's faster.
He's quicker.
Reece.
He's quicker than Reece, yeah.
Right.
And he's someone who'll just jump on a bar and do 30 pull-ups and start pushing himself up. So he is athletically, and we're talking 1% athletically. But there's questions over his defence. I know a lot of Championship coaches last year would spot him up in defence. He was with Maludi, which wasn't not an easy gig defensively, is it? But I'm sure Saints will be working on that with him. But last thing on that is, obviously, it's Benison who's got the 5 shirt after a good year last year, especially business end. He was great in the grand final. So he's actually up against Benison to actually get game time. I don't think he's going in there as first choice. I mean, the 5 shirt to Benison was probably after best part of 20 games last year, a nod of well done.
18 at fullback, didn't he?
Yeah, we thought you'd play 5 and you've done 18 games. So I think that was more of a, and with T only being loaned. But I think they'll fight it out. I'm sure they'll both get, 12 games in minimum. Exciting to see how he does.
I think for me, I actually stood next to him. I don't think he knows me. He probably don't watch the show. But I stood next to him at Summer Bash. Specimen of a man. He's what you'd expect rugby players to look. You know what I mean? Where some of them you get shocked out, some of them badly look. No offence to some. He's one of them that in the championship level, where they part time, so they normally don't have as good bodies. They just don't have the time and the resources to do it. He was a freak. He was stood there, massive, best pair of legs. I've studied him
historically do more weight than the Super League. That's probably seen them.
He's ripped. He's ripped.
He's ripped as well. Yeah.
Yeah, he was the best. He's the best. One of the best physical specimens I've seen in that champ. When I saw everyone last year, I watched loads and loads of games. He was probably the number one. I think I'll add another one onto Jimmy's yardage carry. His yardage carry, has he got that? Is he tough? I don't know. His toughness, I think, got put into question a bit as well. Obviously, he's a try scorer, electric. Yeah. Is he tough? Can he do the 120, 130 metres that you have to do at Super League level?
Because he is lightweight. He's not. I know you're saying you're on about how physically impressive he looks, but he's not a big lad. He's not a heavy lad.
I'm not bothered about, to be fair, the actual weight of him, because I think some of them show, don't they? That
I just mean in yardage carries.
Well, Ado Carr and that, doesn't he? Ado Carr's 80 or 80. I don't think you actually, if you've got the effort and and the toughness,
speed and strength.
Yeah, it's But yeah, I think that's his big question. Can he do the 120, 130 minimum metres you need in Super League level? And as Jim said, the defensive reads that in Championship you don't need. So it's not really something you have to nail every week.
The biggest out and the biggest in.
The coach.
Is the coach. And for me, Wolfie came in, couldn't have done any better on the back of Justin. Justin won back to back. You know, Wolfie's gone in, done a 4-timer or whatever it is. I think it's 3-timer or whatever it is. Yeah. Wellow's been waiting for his chance. One of the greatest fullbacks we've had. Him and Linsky were always the two that we thought. He's definitely waiting for his chance. He's been a great servant to Saints. He's kept his head down. He never made out controversy. He never puts his head into media. He never tries to sell his son like half of them do. He's my type of bloke, if I'll be honest. A lot of time for him, but he's probably got hardest job in the world. We've just said about Rowan having a tough job, but we think Rowan might get a bit of time and he's gambling on this. If you don't win at Saints, then that's the level. The bar is that high. If they don't win, he will be seen as not a success. And as the great Alex Ferguson did when he finally left Man United, his timing was impeccable.
Oh yeah.
His timing was impeccable. He left knowing if he'd have talked to his friends when he put Moyes in, he'd have said, David, I'll get you £15 million payout. But you're going to get slaughtered.
Yeah.
But you're going to be a multi-millionaire in your family is, and I'm going to get you a 5-year deal because they used to have a good friendship.
Yeah.
But this squad's old. And this. Now, you look at this, when the legs do catch up, you don't see it coming. I've done this too long now to know you won't see it coming. When them legs start to go, it'll be like bang, bang, and one will go, another will go, like, oh my God. And I think Paul's got a hell of a job. We think they've got the best 4 pivots. Kyle Moore not been that player as Kyle for 2 or 3 years, so they're not going to miss Kyle. They've got an emergency 2 or 3 young men coming through, one of them being ours, George Delaney, we think it's going to be whatever.
Yeah.
I think to retain the players he's done in a salary cap system, and he won't take many marquees, will Mike Rush. He's done it without taking marquees. He took Conrad on a 70 grand, whatever, So for me, it's not that. It's just whether Paul can integrate a team and he'll stick to the same system. He'll stick to everything same. And do I look at what they're bringing in? It's a gamble. They haven't brought no in. I thought that the back rower had a good year towards the end, but he was hit and miss. I can't remember his name. They paid a fortune. Has he gone back? Or has he got one more year? The back rower, the NRL one who played 200 times.
Curtis Surinam.
Yeah.
Oh no, I think he's staying.
Still got another year, so he did all right, but he didn't break any patterns for me. I didn't go wow.
He was just.
He come good towards
8 out of 10. I thought every game.
Wolves looked really old towards the end of that year. First time I've seen Alex come undone. Hence why him and Johnny never went to. And here's a big one for Saints. Here's a challenge for you. If it's true they're playing the World Club.
Yeah.
That'll have a massive effect on them. You travelling to Australia for 4 weeks before you go into pre-season, and I'm going to challenge the other
For
clubs.
what? For 4 weeks?
Yeah.
They're going to go over for 4 weeks?
Whatever it is. They'll have a camp week and then they'll play on the Saturday, whatever it is.
Oh, I thought we'd just do a week.
I can't see them coming in and out within a week.
All right.
You might be proved right if we do.
But I don't think it'd be a smart decision to do a week because there's jet lag, there's 200 factors that could ruin
that. Anyway, that to me, their biggest challenge this year. If they win the World Club, it's bigger than winning Super League, in my opinion. To go to Australia and do what only one team I think have ever done it. Might be not. I don't know if Wigan did do it. I don't know if we've ever done it.
In Australia?
In Australia. So, and they could go and they'll be saying to each other, this is history. I know 5 times is history, I get that, but actually at the moment, them beating Penrith, that we regard as being the best team of all time. Saints have a chance to put something that's never going to be done again. Beating them in Australia. I'm challenging the other teams in Super League, and I keep saying this. Why don't someone come out? Why is our game that absolutely flawed with optimism? We can't. Why don't somebody come out and say, we'll beat Saints this year? I always put my saying and they say, oh, don't say that, you say it's enough.
One of his Monday press conferences.
What is wrong with others? Why don't, if I want 4 or 5 teams here, I'd say Saints are there for beating. They've got they've got a new coach, they're going to Australia, they've not signed big, they took a couple of gambles, they've got Dodgy through, but they had Dodgy through anyway. They've got a couple, Leeds have got 6 coming through, KR have got 7 coming through. If I were the other clubs, I'd be saying, listen, let's give it a go. I think a lot of them are scared now to actually say that.
Well, I think we talked about this last week. But we'd love it if we'd have those press conferences and players that do it. The sad thing is, I thought about it more during the week. People won't do that. Coaches won't do that because when Saints pumping by 30, they're going to get loads of stick. Players don't like being outspoken now because they get hammered on social media left, right, and centre. That's sadly it'd be
thinking of a player just stay in the establishment.
But this is the reason why it doesn't happen. A coach is not going to go Saints are there for the taking because he could die on his sword. He's very little to gain. It'd be great, but it won't happen.
But then there's also
loads behind closed doors.
There's also loads.
No, even inside, do they believe it? It's hurting me.
No.
I think
I'm on the street.
I think we can definitely do this year.
See, it's weird that because I don't know.
I think
we do.
I'm not saying they do.
Wigan don't, then that would be.
Would you think Huddersfield think they can beat Saints?
I don't know about Huddersfield.
Do you think Leeds?
This is yeah. I'm answering it. I don't think they can beat them to the top of the table, but they think they can beat them in one game. Last year Wigan fought.
But
that's how you win the grand final. That's what our game is.
In this grand final,
it was one game too many.
Yeah.
But Wigan this year genuinely believed that they will get to that grand final and beat St Helens. I don't doubt that for a minute. I think Wigan are still there. I'm not sure what it's like at Huddersfield. Do they genuinely believe that now he's ready? I don't see anyone.
We sit here every year and Saints are the Saints are the bar. And by the way, respectfully so, they're the best team in the modern day era. Usually we've got Warrington and we go, wow. We're all buzzing because we think, is it Warrington's year? We all have a laugh. They've made 5 signings again. We're going to do that one next week. But you look at it, you throw Leeds in rebuild. You've said, with Paul said a little bit of rebuild. Huddersfield process.
Yeah.
Is the process working? You're saying right, we've got Wigan who will challenge them. So we've got Wigan and Saints probably 6 points from everybody.
Huddersfield. No,
Catalans fell off the cliff.
I disagree with you. I think Huddersfield have to put themselves in that category now. I think it'd be a disrespect to everyone in the Huddersfield team and their fans to say no, we are not in that conversation. After last year, they got just about got there. They blooded through some young players. They have to think they're in that conversation. I think when we get to Huddersfield and cover them, my thing has got to be they have to think they're there. If they don't think they're there, it's an insult to everyone because they have to think they're there. They have to think they're in that top 3, top 1, 2 in the competition. Because other than that, who is? They've
just
got.
Feels a bit like Man City-ish. I'm feeling that same shit. I'm feeling that same. Hey, you know, I call them pub experts. You're probably thinking Man City will win. Brilliant. Where's the rest? We're mentioning St Helens. I want someone to come out of here and go, we could throw kitchen sink at these.
But I do think
I don't feel it even off the record. It's about me media. When I speak to them behind, I never get it. I heard no one to me.
We'll beat them this year.
Well, I heard Wigan last year were doing it. Wigan were confident, no doubt about it. They thought they'd got him. And a lot of us did. Thought that if they can get it to a grand final with him, they can actually do it with Bevan and Jai singing like they were.
But no, was that half-back partnership and all. I
Yeah, but this is what I think is big for Saints this year, and this is my feeling on Saints. When I had Saints coming top, winning the grand final all year last year, until Dodsey got injured, and I thought there's a real chance now, the way that Field and Bevan had started the year, this has become a 2-horse race for me now. And this year, I think if Dodds stays fit, I've still got Saints favourite with Wigan, the ones, and the only ones I think he'll run them close in the table. If I do not think, though, what Saints did last year, and even the year before, I don't think Saints are able to lose one of those Dodds, Lomax, Roby, and still hold off Wigan. That's how much closer I think it is. They rode out the Dodds injury last year.
Do you not like Wigan to sign someone else to go at them?
Another half?
Do you think retaining Bevan, what biggest thing ever, and doing what they've done in Jai or whatever?
I think Wigan are there, yeah. I don't think.
You think the half-back partnership?
I don't think Wigan are any weaker than
but
last
as
year.
you know, Matty Pete, you know Matty Pete believes in them half-backs. He believes in that partnership. Whether you disagree with it or not, it's a different question. He believes in it, so you've got to say, from their perspective, yes, they think they're ready.
Tommy Luluai is a big loss.
But if I said to you simply, here's a simple one. Name your 6, 7, 9, 1 in Dream Team next year. We got.
It's for Saints, for that's what I said before. Unless there's a bit of a surprise package.
Yeah, it's impossible to say otherwise.
And if Jez Litton has the year, we're hoping he does, maybe. But can Roby and Lomax do the full season?
Well,
that's
Roby's
the
big one, and Roby's all. If Roby goes again, which we said last year and the year before, if he goes again, but you know what? I'll put it out there. I don't think Roby is going to be the dream team hooker. I think it's impossible unless he is that superhuman, which he is, but he'd have to be more superhuman than any superhuman I've ever met. Superhuman. That's LeBron James. Just level superhuman. So that's
you'd have a fiver on Danny Levi.
Listen, I'll leave it like this. It's just so frustrating for
Danny
me.
Levi's left.
Oh, he's gone, hasn't he?
Yeah, as a fan, I'm looking and I'm wanting someone. Cass for 3-year challenged Leeds and Saints. Cass went, here we go. And for 3 years, Cass for the team that you knew would give them both. In fact, they took other Saints.
But we can have made them signings. They've signed Jake Wardle and Toby.
Yeah.
They've sorted out the centre
I do.
position.
I love it what you're saying. I
think they have. I think we can have made the signings.
I still want me 2 and 3. I want probably an half back in a Wigan.
No, I'm fine.
And it'd have to be a runner. Probably have to be a runner.
Yeah. I'm happy with
I'd like a 9/half. I think that I think they're lacking that the main man in either of those positions. And Saints
Luluai's
that's a huge loss.
Danny Maguire, they've lost Danny Maguire there, Kevin Sinfield, haven't they?
But they've got more athletes on that team than they Saints now. Saints' main athletes now are that year older, aren't they?
I just want to put my.
I think.
Do you know what?
I think you're disservicing with your
signings. I don't know if I said this to Matty, so I'm not speaking out of turn. If I'm marquee in it, I don't put my marquee on a winger. I just don't. In my team, my marquee, Bevan would not get the marquee. Honestly, as good as he is.
Jai move to halfback?
No, I think they'll have him there. But I'm saying I just don't have that in a cap sport. I don't have my marquee as the winger. And I don't think Wigan have world-class centres to give you that.
What?
They do now.
They do now. We do now. As I'm saying to you, historically last year we've got Toby's got
but they do now.
Toby's got loads to do. We're honest people. Toby who finished his season at Huddersfield, and the Toby and Jake who finished at Warrington, them two have got loads to do. Absolute shit loads to do. Because they've both got a question mark, which is why, let's be honest, that's why they're probably both where they are, because Matty Pete's going to go, you know Matty Pete's sell is, I'll get your career back, I'll get you both to England. So Matty's challenged 2 people, but we can't say they're world class.
But they've got the potential. But they've got potential to be. I think both criticisms. Their defence, Jenks, isn't it? Is defensive side of the ball.
Well, Toby's fitness level, sharp levels, not
you can probably hide that at Wigan with their monsters. I think you can hide their deficiencies. I think.
Some say anyway. Well, right. So we'll listen.
But anyway, we've moved on from Saints.
No. I love it. I'll finish on this. We'll finish on this.
Well, we haven't finished Saints very. You mentioned just for listeners' interest, Wesley Bruins is just a young lad who went off for a year in Australia, and they've picked him up and like what they see and giving him a go. So you're talking 2 players in, no superstars coming in.
Listen, I love
that Wesley was in the Community Rugby League England side, which is normally, no offence to a lot of League One Championship players. He made it. Wakey give him a chance, and then he's went to NRL, and I think he did well in the NRL. Not in the NRL. Sorry, he signed for an NRL, but played in the Queensland club. Did all right for himself.
It's a project. It's a project.
Saints, I don't think he'll be lucky to get. He's like Leon Bruin type, where he'll be lucky to get 2 or 3 games. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
So it's.
So lads, we'll move on. We'll finish the show on that. I think that it's up to the others to come up to it, and it's up to the others to challenge Saints. Based on what we've seen there, we've talked about Leeds and signings here for 40 minutes, and then you inevitably put Saints.
Well, I think the one last thing about Saints though is that you've got to look at.
Well, there's not many to talk about. That's why.
No. I've got it. No. Listen, you've got with Saints. You've got their best players are getting older now. So you've got Johnny, 32. You've got Wormsley, old, 33. Is he 32, 33? Getting older. Percival, older. You've got obviously the winger. Tommy, Mac.
Still got loads. They're not end of careers, obviously. Tommy's got loads left.
Johnny, yeah. Well, Johnny couldn't play England for whatever reason. It was reported that it was because of injuries and health.
He had to have surgery.
He's getting his body's getting
battered.
Older,
yeah, battered. Yeah.
Wormsley's body is getting older, and they've been through wars for 4 years. Can they do it? Can their bodies physically do it again? I don't know if they can.
Well, because the competition's not that good.
Yeah, that's the answer. Well, that's the answer.
It's ridiculous. Trust me, we'll talk here.
Well, are we all saying Saints
top? What I want to do
is,
at the moment, I want to do it. We've got another 8 or 9 to do, and let's hope when we do the full squad,
we've not give Saints prediction for the league.
Where are you putting it?
It's ridiculous, isn't it? Saints are number 1.
Number two in the league for me.
Right.
Behind.
I think they've
Players
got.
to watch out for. George Delaney.
I think they've got 3 or 4 injuries in that team, which doesn't mean they won't win the grand final, but I can see a Leeds type of thing where Leeds had them older legs, so they finish 3rd or 4th, don't win the league, but then I'm still saying they win the grand final, but I'm saying they'll get a few injuries and I think they'll just coast along this year.
So are you saying who's top? Are you saving that?
I've got Wigan and Huddersfield that can compete in the league. Whether they can compete on the biggest stage of them all, I think it's a different one. But I've got Wigan and Huddersfield possibly challenge them in that top 3 position.
Well, I'll have, unless they get very unfortunate with injuries, I think they can ride 1 or 2. But I do think Wigan are their only rival for getting the top spot, and I think it will be really close. But I think
a lot of Huddersfield not praising these league.
Yeah, well, we talked about it a few weeks ago, didn't you? When
they've made some massive signings.
I'm just wrapping up the Saints thing. I think they've got enough quality. They have Jake Wingfield, 20 games last year, another one coming through easily with Bennison. They've got others, Delaney amongst others, waiting to come through. I think they can ride 1 or 2 injuries to key players. I don't think they can ride many more, but no club can. Simple as that. So, as always in rugby league, injuries is by far the most important thing, and which squad can handle it the best. I still got Saints coming top, but I think Wigan will be within 4 points of him, and it could be. It could
You're
be.
saying that
It could
like
be 1 or 2.
controversial.
I'm not saying it's controversial. It's exactly what it is.
Very safe for you, that Jim. Very, very safe.
Yeah, but I think to say Huddersfield will come, I totally disagree. I think Huddersfield won't.
Right, guys, that is the full 80 minutes. Hopefully you enjoyed the debate, you enjoyed the opinions. Hopefully we'll get the great Gledel back next week. Hope you find that of interest. Again, let's hope in the next coming weeks we're going to do 8 or 9 previews of all the clubs.